Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. Folks, I wanted to make this update to talk about the price of Bitcoin and of course some of the major news takeaways from today. But a lot of people are concerned about the price because Bitcoin is pulling back. Right now it's sitting at $103,484. You look at the daily chart, there's some red candles on the way down. But this does not come to a surprise to us who have been following the charts closely, and that is the daily RSI was in the overbought zone, as I've been saying for a while, and it's going to take time for that to cool down. And I don't know if it has to go to the oversold zone. It may not have to. It could bounce somewhere in between and continue to run up. But the important thing for you to understand from the macro is that we're still in a bull market. There has been no invalidation of the bull market because certain support levels and trend lines and certain on-chain metrics and much more have not invalidated the bull market. So that's a good sign, and we'll continue to monitor those metrics closely. But Bitcoin, nothing to be concerned about here. This is normal. It's par for the course. Bitcoin hitting resistance at its new all-time high of $112,000. So let's see where this pullback takes us. It could chop sideways a bit, then start running again. I think that this is going to be something short-lived. I don't think it's anything major, kind of what we saw in January with the tariff uncertainty. Even though there is tariff uncertainty continuing, the market is starting to price that in, and it's not as much fear as there was with the initial shock of those global tariffs. So that's a good sign. On the weekly chart, same thing, looks bullish, nothing bearish here. The weekly RSI cooling down as well. So all par for the course. And when we look at the other metrics like the tether dominance, and we saw that breaking down when a lot of liquidity was coming into the market, it's starting to spike up again. But we got to let this play out because this seems like a downtrend, but on the way down, you don't go in a straight line. There are peaks and valleys, right? So just like we've seen the tether dominance break down before, and this essentially indicates the liquidity that's coming into the market. So obviously with the market going down, the tether dominance is going to rise, and vice versa. You know, when the tether dominance is dropping, then the market rips. So it's all cyclical. And then you look at the Bitcoin dominance, you're seeing Bitcoin dominance on the rise again. It was in a major free fall. So this shows still in the bull market, still more room to run here. Bitcoin still has to steal the show somewhat, sucking the liquidity from the altcoins. But eventually it will hit a overbought zone, become overheated. Rotational liquidity will take place. ETH, XRP, Solana, and all the altcoins will start moving again. But it's the patience game. That's the hard part for many of you. And it's only until I learned the markets and what's happening that I was able to navigate that and control my emotions. And the emotional patience game is the hardest part. So just understand we're still on track. Nothing invalidated here. Just we got to be patient. And this is how the market plays out. We don't control it. The DXY, the dollar currency index, continues to show weakness. Another factor as to we are still in a bull market. It's still a move towards risk on as the dollar keeps moving downwards. Now, on-chain data shows that Bitcoin whales with wallets of 10 or more Bitcoin, they continue to accumulate. And if we zoom in here, we see there's a spike. So they're buying the dips here. This is the on-chain data we've been using, and it's been very revealing because they started taking profits with the after the big Q4 rally, and then even more so with the tariff uncertainty crash, if you want to call it that, and then they started accumulating. So the whales, the guys who pretty much move the markets, are playing this very smartly because retail is frustrated, retail is getting tired, retail is scared. They continue to buy, rinse and repeat here. And global liquidity continues to rise. So that is a very good sign. And Bitcoin lags global liquidity by about 12 weeks or so. So everything will catch up eventually. Just the patience game is so important. So I'm not concerned because the data, not my feelings or emotions, not how I feel today, not what the price makes me, how the price makes me feel, but the data is telling me bull market. Just be patient. Things will move in the right direction eventually. Now, with the tariff uncertainty, I know one of the things we were talking about before the tariff situation happened was that the typical seasonality would play out, sell in May, go away. So essentially, late May into June, markets start to cool down, people take profits, and then it's the summer boring zone. However, because of the tariff uncertainty kind of pushing the timeline back, we could see June and July be explosive. Now, that's not a guarantee, and other analysts are calling for that as well. Even Bitcoin said, sell in May, cry in June, FOMO in July. So, the timeline's been shifted here, and I hope you guys understand it's not a guarantee or certainty, but we're just looking at seasonal patterns, what's happening in global liquidity, and all these things, and how they may affect the stock market and crypto. So, things are still on track. Just it is what it is. Every cycle throws a monkey wrench in the system, and we just got to roll with it. So that's where it stands with Bitcoin. And of course, we use Bitcoin as the measuring stick. Altcoins will eventually catch up. So even if you're not holding Bitcoin and you're just holding XRP or Solana or Ethereum, you got to wait for Bitcoin to do its thing. That's how it works. I don't make the rules. You got to accept the facts and reality of the situation. Now, speaking of Bitcoin, Trump Media has $2.3 billion in Bitcoin buying power after closing capital raise. So we've been talking about this over the past week. First, the Financial Times revealed that Trump Media was working on this. Then we get confirmation, and they have officially closed their fundraising, and they're going to buy Bitcoin. So let me give you some details. Trump Media closed $2.44 billion capital raise with funds planned to be used to create a Bitcoin treasury. The company sold $1.44 billion in common stock and $1 billion in convertible notes to some 50 institutional investors. The move aims to make the company one of the largest publicly traded U.S. holders of Bitcoin. Now, folks, you may not like Trump or you may love Trump. That is besides the point. Donald Trump is in the business of making money, right? and I'm not a fan of his meme coin, but the other stuff that he's doing, watch it closely, read between the lines. Why the hell would Trump be doing this? You think he believes the bull market's over? You think he's sitting around crying like retail? Oh man, this bull market sucks, blah, 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 the price pulled back again, right? No, clearly they're making these investments because they see higher prices on the horizon, folks. So please understand what's happening here. Read between the lines. Trump would not be doing this if the bull market was over. So this is very bullish news in my opinion. Once again, regardless if you love or hate Trump, that's not the point. The point is watch what they do, not what they say. So incredible stuff here. Now, look at this. James Seyffert of Bloomberg said that Rex Shares has just filed an effective prospectus for Solana and Ethereum staking ETFs to list here in the US. He says, don't know launch date, but could be within the next few weeks. There are 40 account funds with a unique structure and do not go through the 19B-4 process. Now, yesterday, the SEC gave guidance on proof of stake. So I hope you see the direction we're heading in here. And as I've been saying, when you add staking to those existing Ethereum ETFs, watch the inflows spike because the yield will be there, folks. That's going to be a game changer for Ethereum, and that's a huge advantage that Ethereum has. Now, I don't know if it's going to surpass Bitcoin. I don't think so, but its numbers are going to rise. I absolutely believe that because the yield is a massive incentive to TradFi and institutional investors and much more. So really great stuff here. Eric Balchunas, who's the boss of James Seyffert at Bloomberg, said first ever staked Ether and Solana ETFs could be launching soon. Rex filing went effective, meaning launch likely in the near term. Would also be first ever spot Solana 2. Only features exist currently. This is the benefit of using 40 ACT or Act 40 Act. It's a faster track to market, but more work/boxes to check versus the 33 Act. Interesting. So they kind of use the fast track here. So let's see how it plays out. This could be something that Ripple and other altcoin ETF issuers may want to use to get their spot ETF live. We shall see. But right now, the staking component will be huge. And it looks like Solana is going to have it. So Solana should see a lot of inflows as well. Folks, quick word from our sponsor, and that's Propy. Propy's leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. They've put titles, deeds on chain. They've created NFTs for properties. I am a Proppy token holder. I have been since 2018 because I saw them as a disruptor in the real estate industry. They were ahead of the curve. So I hold the token and they're a licensed Web3 pioneer. They've been around since 2017. They've facilitated over $4 billion in transactions. And you can buy and sell real estate on Proppy using crypto. It's all powered by blockchain. So that's an incredible feature. And they use Coinbase for the crypto escrow service. So Proppy leading the charge, folks, in disrupting the real estate industry, moving the real estate industry into Web3. So if you'd like to learn more about Proppy, check out the links in the description. Now look at this news, folks. Digital euro, not MICA, key to managing crypto risk. Bank of Italy chief. He's saying not the regulations that were put out, but the digital euro. The digital euro, of course, is kind of like a pseudo CBDC. And this is why I've been saying watch the digital dollar that's issued by the major banks. We heard the news recently, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and some others want to create a centralized stablecoin that looks and smells like a CBDC. So he's saying that's the way to manage crypto risk. Yeah, he's really framing a narrative here for that pseudo CBDC. They're going to call it a stablecoin. But MICA is the market structure regulations, essentially, that the U.S. is, trying to get its own version in place. But MICA is needed for these businesses to operate. So, they're going to do a lot of stuff with these digital currencies, right? The fiat currency on the blockchain. So, interesting statement. So, MICA has had a limited impact on the adoption of compliant stablecoins in Europe, strengthening the need for a digital euro. Bank of Italy Governor Fabio Panetta said. Sounds like a central bank narrative there, pretty clearly, right? We need to make sure we use the digital euro to keep crypto in check. Yeah, whatever. You don't need to do that. But, central bankers don't want to lose power, so they're going to frame it that way. Look at this. Zen Finance, RiseVest launched tokenized stocks platform in Africa. Wow. The platform now allows investors in Africa to access global real estate and stock markets through tokenized fractional shares using stablecoins. Folks, I know I always say this, but I'm trying to hammer home the point and that you see the macro. What the hell have I been telling you guys for the past 3 to 4 years, right? This is the direction the puck is heading in. They're going to put real estate, stocks, everything on the blockchain, and you're going to have truly global markets, 24/7 trading, fractionalization, secondary and tertiary markets will be created off of these things. 24/7, 365-day trading, no more opening and closing bell. How many times have I told you? Look at what's happening. And I've often given the scenario that people in Africa or India or whatever can't access the New York Stock Exchange. But when you put the stocks on the blockchain, everybody can access it. And they just need a smartphone with internet connection. And many folks in different countries in Africa have smartphones. They don't have computers and laptops. I'm not saying all of them, but majority of people have smartphones. Do you see the direction things are headed in? And it's amazing to watch this play out. It's so fascinating. And this is why we're here taking our bets so that we can make money off of this. It's inevitable. There's no stopping this. This is the direction we're heading in. And speaking of tokenization, here is a article from a Backed CEO. So that's the name of the company, Backed. Tokenized equities will be bigger than stablecoins. So they're saying, hey, look, your stablecoins, that's fine and dandy, but tokenized equities and assets are going to be bigger. And I believe that because the equities markets are so large, you're talking stocks and much more, right? And then when you throw real estate and all that in there, of course it's going to be bigger because tokenizing the fiat currency system or markets in itself, the FX markets is not bigger than the equities market. I hope I'm right on that. I'll have to double check my numbers. But when you think about all the equities and companies and all these things that are out there, I think this is spot on. So interesting statement here. And speaking of tokenization, we've been hearing Robinhood is going to be doing a lot with tokenization. And shout out to user Justice, who sent me this email with Robinhood having what looks to be some sort of event. I believe it's going to be virtual. They said, tune into our keynote on June 30th at 11 a.m. as we unveil the future of crypto. And it says, Robinhood presents To Catch a Token. So the biggest players on Wall Street and in finance are tokenizing, launching ETF products and different financial products. And if you caught my interview with Sid Powell of Maple today, we talked about Cantor Fitzgerald, the Wall Street giant, launching a $2 billion Bitcoin lending program. Guys, it's incredible what's happening. Citibank says stablecoins boost treasury bill demand, reflect dollar dominance. Stablecoins boost treasury bill demand, reflect dollar dominance. So as stablecoin usage grows, so does the demand for short-term US treasuries. So this is the narrative that's been going around. Well, I would say it's a true narrative. It's not something just out there like Fugazi or whatever, right? And Senator Haggerty, as I shared with you guys about a week ago, he cited Citibank, saying that by 2030, the largest US Treasury holders will be stablecoin issuers. Right now, it's other countries that buy the US debt, and that helps to prop up the system, right? The debt-based system, and the US dollar is the world reserve currency. So, part of Trump's tariff situation, I think that it's more of a smokescreen for renegotiating certain types of trade deals and deals that were made for countries who were buying our debt. But if we don't need them to buy the debt anymore, we got to revisit those terms, right? Those partnerships. I think that's a big part of what's happening here, a big paradigm shift. And it feels almost like a Bretton Woods moment, similar to what happened after World War II with the US dollar and gold. So big change happening here, folks. And the technology's here. And then I hope you recognize the different levels this is impacting the world, on the government level, the private sector, our money, the way we will access investments and do deals, contracts, all these things will be on the blockchain, folks. So really incredible stuff here. Now, final news item, veteran capital in crypto is shaping South Korea's elections. Presidential hopefuls in South Korea are turning to crypto to win younger voters, with older generations now joining the conversation. As I was saying, paradigm shift, all aspects of society being impacted here. And we've talked a lot on this podcast about the future will be more digital. It's not going to be less digital. And the younger generation will lean more towards digital assets. That's a world they're very familiar with. They're already doing it via gaming and much more, buying things in games. And it's digital. It's not tangible. You can't hold it. You can't eat it. You can't drink it. But it's an asset you can hold. So crypto will be a natural integration into that. And I think people who are running for election now realize, yeah, we should probably embrace crypto as much as possible to win over these younger voters. So, folks, you see the direction we're headed in. It's very bullish, mass adoption globally, and that will result in higher prices. But you got to be patient. This isn't going to the casino and playing the slot machine. This isn't playing the lottery. You got to put some work in. You got to educate yourself. You got to take the bets, and you got to be patient. And if you're struggling with patience, I highly recommend reading some books on Warren Buffett. Watch his things he said about investing. There's some great principles that has helped me. And Warren played the long game, and that, I mean, clearly played out well for him. Was everything he held or did correct, and was it a winner? Of course not. But he had more winners than losers. So you want to adopt the mindset to understand market cycles and have the macro view and control your emotions and have that patience, guys. All right, folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Folks, a great way you can support me in the podcast is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And check out my new course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you every aspect of crypto. Folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.